talk Smackdown from March the 3rd, 2023. Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Not much in the way of news and notes, I gather. I talked about Lacey Evans already. So, I guess anything else that'll pop up will probably pop up during the video. Okay, so we start the show with Roman and Cody. The first time these two have shared a ring together in several years, since the old days of Dusty and his sons versus the Shield, which a lot of people forgot. A lot of people forgot that, they did this sort of Dusty-centered feud. It wasn't Dusty-centered, but it was when they were doing the Brotherhood. I think that's what they was called, Cody and Goldust. What was their tag team name? Anyway. And they were wrestling the Shield, which consisted of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And Dusty was in the corner of Cody and Dustin. And that was a great series of matches, which actually, I think around that same time was Cody having one of his first matches for the WWE title. He wrestled Randy Orton around that time. So it was a question that was popped up here when Roman asked Cody if he had even ever wrestled for the WWE Championship. The answer is yes. And what the match that made me think Cody was going to be something, he had an excellent match with Randy Orton on Raw. I'm pretty sure it was for the title, and he lost. Now, I think people have told me that wasn't a title match, but I think it was. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter either way. But, so I don't know. I don't have a really good memory when it comes to long-term stuff like this. I do remember him wrestling Randy Orton on Raw, though, back when the Authority was a thing. But that was a long time ago. So we'll get around to it. This time, Cody Rhodes interrupted Roman almost immediately. Cody wanted to talk one-on-one, so Roman dismissed Solo, Jimmy, and Paul Heyman. Roman then gets comfortable, quote-unquote, taking the championships and putting them on the ground. Then he asked Cody, so what do you want to talk about? And Cody just kind of gave him a smug grin and put him over. Said that, he's become a legend. He's beyond mythology. And then said that beating Roman, for some people, seems impossible. Then he said for himself, climbing impossible mountains was kind of his thing. When goalposts moves, he continued to punch it through the goalposts. He talked about people saying that he would never be more than Randy Orton's underling. Whether 10,000 people would pay to see him and his friends at their little indie show, as he called it. And he said, so for anyone else, beating Roman would seem impossible, but not for him. So Roman laughed all of this off and says, yeah, that was perfect. That was flawless. Sounds like you've been rehearsing that one all week, because he knows that Cody rehearses his promos. So everybody does, because everybody saw Rhodes to the top. Cody grinned at that one too. Then he asked Cody if he had ever competed for one of those championships. Has he ever won one of those championships? Then said that he has been in all of these different main events of WrestleMania, won these titles, wrestled the best. He's the most experienced champion in history. And says that he was groomed for this role, not just by his father, but also by Cody's father. So now we're getting into the Dusty situation. So Roman says, let's talk about your old man. He says that he refuses to degrade Dusty because Dusty did way too much for him. Because Dusty is the one who told him that he had it. He did a Dusty presentation, which was not good, but it was endearing anyway. Said that him and Dusty talked for hours about him being the guy, about all of this stuff that's going on now. Dusty knew it was going to happen. Dusty called it. Then he says, in all the hours that we talked together, all the hours we spent together, we talked about a lot of things, but one thing we never talked about was you. Never talked about you at all, Cody. It was like you didn't exist. And he said, well, maybe when Seth was there, when Becky was there, I don't know. But when I was there, they didn't talk about you at all. And Cody just kind of got he, he kind of got a little tight. Then he said, oh, it's a shame he couldn't be here to see this. And Roman's continuing then says that if there's anything that Dusty didn't teach you, I will. Which is classic Roman. Playing the daddy role to Cody now. But, Cody has to put on his melodramatic, the neck movement and the shoulder movements and you sent that man not to get under my skin, but to tell me the truth. That one of Dusty's kids is better than his actual kid. Then he said to tell me that I don't exist. He said if that's true, if that's the truth, then this is a necessity. I have to exist. If this is the case, I only exist once I beat you at WrestleMania. Really enjoyed this first segment. They're going to build the feud around Dusty at least for a little while here. Cody really has a problem. You could tell Cody is putting this thing together because, for starters, it's about Dusty. Second, Roman never really gave Dusty that much credit on screen. Now, off screen, absolutely. But on screen, never that much. But you could tell that the old Dusty's kids stuff that came out of NXT really got under Cody's skin. It's been, 5 or 6 years of that stuff. And it's been, even going back to the early days of NXT, before it was black and gold rules the wrestling roost and all that garbage, way before AEW, you used to hear about the quote Dusty's kids down in NXT, the ones that he was training and putting together and everything. This would be about 10 years ago or something like that. So you've heard of this stuff before. So Cody is exercising a lot of demons in this situation to kind of prove that he is on par with the kids that his father trained, and perhaps even better, but did it in his own way outside of the WWE system. Even though Cody was trained in the WWE system, which is why he fits so perfectly in there and didn't fit that well in AEW. Even though I would argue he didn't stink up the joint in AEW. He had some missteps, for sure. Because he was trying to do WWE style storytelling in AEW, where they didn't want to put forth the effort, and most other people didn't have the training. Now here, most people have gone through the gauntlet that he's gone through. They are as prepared when it comes to promos as he is, and he's part of this group. He stepped out for a while, but Cody isn't an outsider, which is what I think part of this storyline is about. Is in a way, Cody is an outsider because he didn't go through NXT. He wasn't trained by his dad initially. He went through developmental before Dusty was in there, I think. But at the same time, he was trained in that system. The system didn't change that much when it went from FCW to NXT. So it didn't change that much. When it went to the Performance Center, I think it probably changed a lot more. But him having that chip on his shoulder about the Dusty's kids, you could tell that that's one of the things that kind of got under his skin. And probably it was what prompted a lot of that throne break and all of the other, we're going to steal a Bash at the Beach and Great American Bash from WWE. All that stuff that he was doing before, he was really putting AEW's, the gas behind, that kind of stuff. But you could tell that it bothered him. And he's getting to work out some of that stuff now by having Roman actually have a storyline that focuses mostly around Dusty. But this was good. I didn't dislike this. It was a little long for my taste, but for the first time that they meet, it was a nice little opening salvo where Roman didn't give away too much, Cody didn't take too much, and they left more on the table for them to talk about later. Roman wasn't done for the evening, however, because he has to torture the Usos. He's got to continue twisting that knife. So he goes backstage, start bothering Jimmy. He wants to know where Jay is, of course. And Jimmy's like, look, man, you know how Jay is. I just spoke to him this morning, but, he's a hothead. He just needs a little bit of time. So Roman was like, look, I'm running out of patience. I'm tired of waiting on this guy. Go call him again. So Jimmy kind of slow pokes around. Eventually does go call Jay rather. And then he comes back. And Roman's like, all right, where's Jay? And Jimmy says, look, he wants more time. He just needs a little bit more time. And then Roman was like, more time? What do you mean more time? And then Jimmy was like, look, what he really said was, leave me the hell alone. Now Roman's offended. And he says, after all the things all the things we did for him, how we always had his back, then he immediately blames Sami Zayn for all of this drama that's got going on. Because Jay was a perfect soldier until Sami came along. So he's blaming Sami Zayn for this, for Jay acting this way. So he says, Jimmy, you gotta handle the Sami Zayn problem for us. He says, get rid of Sami Zayn. I'm sure Jay will come home. So Jimmy kind of thinks about it for a minute and, well, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're right. It is about that. So he leaves. He walks out. He sends Jimmy out with Solo. Solo's going to have a match with Sami Zayn. Once the two of them are gone, Paul Heyman's telling him, oh, my tribal chief, what a magnificent plan you've put together. And then Roman says that he's going to give Jay 1 week. Jay has 1 week to return to the Bloodline. And if he doesn't, he's not going to blame Jay. He's going to blame Jimmy. Dun, dun, dun. So Solo Sikoa has a match with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is still walking around in a hoodie, screaming into a cell phone. He now looks like a homeless troll under an underpass. He's hanging out at the merch table. I don't know what he was yelling about. Something about he's not going anywhere until he destroyed the Bloodline. I think that's what it was. He came out and the pop wasn't as huge as it was in Montreal, but it was still pretty good. Solo Sikoa is very physical, in terms of wrestling with Sami Zayn. They've really done a good job of booking Solo strong. Solo wins this match because Jimmy got involved, of course. Samoan Spike, Sami Zayn loses. Now, my question was, how many people, if I look on Twitter or whatever, and would see that they're violently angry that Sami Zayn lost this match? It wasn't as many people as I thought it was going to be, which tells me that I think they're starting to smarten up, maybe a little bit. Maybe they're smartening up a little bit. So there were still some people who were kind of salty, but they weren't as salty as I thought they would be. So the beating for Sami Zayn continues after the match with... So after the match, Sami Zayn is beat up. He's tortured and his ass is kicked. He's about to get hip attacked in the face with a chair or whatever. And Jimmy Uso is reminding him that you made this choice. You did this. This is happening because of the decisions that you made. Sami Zayn fights back, throws the chair into Solo Sikoa's face, fights off Jimmy, escapes through the crowd. Jimmy is not happy. He's kind of stressed. And Roman is watching on the monitors, and he is definitely unhappy that despite the fact that Solo Sikoa won the match, they failed to get rid of Sami Zayn. So the Sami Zayn problem still exists. All right, so to double back to Sami losing, I think this was a perfect time for a disqualification or a count out or something like that. Because winning and losing wasn't important for Solo. Solo didn't need to win. That was the thing. He just needed to send a message to destroy, to get rid of Sami Zayn. He didn't need to win the match. So pinning Sami Zayn, I don't know why they did that. They could have told this story without pinning Sami Zayn. But, I mean, they did what they did. That being said, Jimmy now being the one that has to take the brunt of this whole thing, because Roman's got to blame somebody for his piss poor behavior. So it might as well be it might as well be Jimmy. I like this. And I like that they teased that from the beginning, because now you see that It's all on Jimmy. It's almost the exact same situation as Jay was in all that time, you know, where Jay was getting blamed for just about everything. Now Jimmy's being blamed for everything. So this is nice. It's still got, 3 weeks before WrestleMania, 4 weeks. So we got some time to tell this story. It ought to be pretty nice. But the main event was okay. Didn't hate it in terms of match. Certainly was booked more one-sided in Solo's favor, because clearly they want to tell the story about him being the hatchet man of the Bloodline, which is also why he couldn't lose. Just saying, he probably didn't need to win. I'm not angry that he won, but maybe for storyline purposes, you should have kept Sami Zayn a little bit stronger. I don't know. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Who knows? All right. First non-Bloodline, non-Roman Reigns match. Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley defeats Liv Morgan. So Liv Morgan has gone from she taps out to she'll never quit, never surrender, to back to she's tapping out again. This was a flat finish because Rhea Ripley hit Riptide and then did the submission hold after the fact. So I don't know why we had to humiliate Liv Morgan like this, but whatever. I forgot these two were tag team partners. It was mentioned in this match, as a matter of fact, and I was like, oh yeah, that did happen, you know, temporarily. Dominic, of course, has helped Rhea win, but it was okay. The problem with Liv Morgan is that she is too small, and her offense doesn't look aggressive enough. So she has the Alexa Bliss problem where she's so small and so light, and her attacks don't seem like they do a lot of damage, that you don't really believe that she's a physical threat for anybody. So that kind of takes a lot of the steam out of what she does. Pretty girl, charismatic. She has the pretty girl charisma. But when she's throwing strikes, you know, or kicks or anything like that, it just comes across as just shrug her off. Just push her head in a different direction. Her entire body's going to go that same direction. You know, it's like getting into a fight with, you know, one of the girls, a cheerleader in school. You know, it's very weird. I don't dislike Liv Morgan. And I'm, again, mentioning that Liv Morgan has been kicked in the ass since Triple H took over. She's one of quite a few people who's been booted in the ass since Triple H took over. She might not even make WrestleMania this year. Wild. Anyway, Rhea and Dom were feeling good. They were in a good mood after Rhea kicked Liv Morgan's ass. They ran into Santos Escobar in the hallway. He was just like Pancho Villa in the hallway. And he gets in Dominic's face and says that Ray should have punched him when he had the chance, but he understands why Ray didn't. He said that Dominic needs to learn some respect and that Ray should have taught him. So if he wasn't going to, then Escobar would. So he said, I'm going to the ring. And if you had any cojones, you come fight me mano y mano. So he goes to the ring by himself, no legado del fantasma. And Dominic Mysterio, of course, comes out with Rhea. Now, they did the storyline, of course, with Santos Escobar receiving a mask from Ray as a gift. He brings this mask with him on a mannequin, puts it on the ring post. And during the match, he's going over, he drags Dominic over there and says, "This is your legacy. You need to respect this. You need to respect this." And then they reverse later with Dominic saying, you know, you respect this. You should respect me. Don't respect this. You know, it was fine. Dominic is like, he's a great personality. In terms of his in-ring work, still has light years to go. But still is a pretty good personality. Escobar, of course, was the ring general here. Rhea did her thing, and Dominic Mysterio won with the frog splash. Santos Escobar lost to Dominic Mysterio. Now, this is another match in which I think we were probably better served with Escobar not losing. But it not even being a match. Like, I liked how it was set up from the beginning, where Santos Escobar met him in the hallway and said, look, I'm going to the ring, and you should meet me out there. Not for a match, though, but for a fight. And they just have a fight. And that's it. Not a street fight where they, but like I'm going to beat some respect into you. Was that Rocky 5 where he fights Tommy Gunn in the street? Like that kind of situation where Santos Escobar fights Dominic Mysterio in the street, or around the ringside area, of course. And then Rhea Ripley blasts him in the head with the brass knuckles or whatever. Dominic does whatever he's going to do after that. I just don't like the idea of Santos Escobar being out there being pinned by Dominic. That sucks. I like Dominic, and the storyline calls for it. I get it, but this sucks. All right, it sucks. So Dominic took the mask from Santos Escobar, and he tore it. He ripped it to shreds, mocking Santos Escobar and his respect for this mask. So Dominic is one of the most evil sons of bitches walking the face of the earth, which is great. He's hilarious with this. Oh boy. Okay, so after he ripped up the mask, Ray came out there to retrieve the mask on behalf of Santos Escobar. Of course, Dominic teased him with it. Ultimately, we ended up with Ray on the ground again for like, I don't know, week 12 or 13 of Ray being knocked on his ass by Dominic or Rhea Ripley. We're not getting any closer to Ray actually hitting Dominic now. Dominic hit him from behind, but we're not getting as close as we were pretty close the week before. We were pretty close last week to Ray finally pulling the trigger. This week felt like a step back in their storyline anyway. I just hate that Santos Escobar is more like a speed bump in this joint. Maybe this means something for him later. Later he was fighting for the Mysterio legacy. Now he has to fight for his own. Hopefully. We got to do more with this guy. We just can't have this guy chilling on SmackDown doing jobs to Dominic. That's stupid. That's a waste of his talent. But hey, you guys love Triple H. I love me some Triple H. Look what he does. He put Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, The New Day, LA Knight, and Karrion Kross. He's going to slam all of those people into one match. How is he going to do that? I don't know. Do I care? No. Is he booking for the internet? Yes. So Drew McIntyre comes out there, alpha shit. Comes out, says he wants to fight Gunther. That's it. I'm like, okay. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre? Thumbs up. Excellent showcase for Gunther. It's a guy people know. He's been on main event of WrestleMania, so if you watch it during the pandemic, you know he was the champion. You know he's a top guy. You've seen him wrestle Roman. He looks awesome. He's believable. He has a legitimate chance to win. It's perfect. They come, Sheamus comes out there. Oi, what are you doing, man? Don't you know me entire career want to be the Intercontinental Champion? Don't you know that? Don't you know that? You're trying to steal me bleeding title match. Then all of a sudden, Drew and Sheamus are going back and forth. And Sheamus is like, I thought we was brothers. We supposed to be brothers. So then Drew McIntyre is like, I don't need your permission. In fact, since we're telling the truth, you had your chance twice, and you lost twice. And Sheamus is standing there like, oh man, that sucks. It's the truth. He hit me with the truth. I wasn't ready for the truth. So then LA Knight comes out there, and then the New Day come out there. They come out there to mock LA Knight. And Karrion Kross just comes out there because who cares? We haven't emptied the SmackDown male locker room yet. So we got to throw somebody else out there. So it might as well be Karrion Kross. Everybody except Mad Cat Moss is in this match. So they did a big brawl scene for no reason. Later, Gunther says that Adam Pearce is showing poor leadership by not identifying a worthy opponent for the ring general. at WrestleMania for this most prestigious championship. And this was shortly after the Brawl. So you know what they're going to do. They're going to throw all these son bitches in one match. It's likely going to end up being Karrion Kross, Kofi Kingston, LA Knight, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre in a ladder match. That sucks. That sucks. That screams all of the try to get them all on the card. That's what we were supposed to be told. We were told, no, you're not supposed to try to put everybody on the card. Look, LA Knight, again, they made fun of him because he's lost every singles match he's had on SmackDown except for jobber matches. Why is he getting a title match? Kofi Kingston literally is in a tag team. Why is he getting a title match? If you would say if it was Xavier Woods, at least it would be more believable because at least Xavier Woods, he hasn't been losing. But for Christ's sake, no, he doesn't need to be there. Karrion Kross doesn't need to be there either. Come on, man. The triple threat idea was pushing it. This having 6 or 7 guys in a stupid ladder match. Look, this is Gunther's first WrestleMania. This is his first WrestleMania match. And you're going to throw him in a throwaway ladder match. You're going to treat him like Wade Barrett. Because didn't this happen to Wade Barrett? He was Intercontinental Champion going into WrestleMania. He didn't even get to carry the belt to the ring. It was already in the ring. And then he lost. I think he lost to Zack Ryder or something like that. Like, this is dumb, man. God, just because these marks want a ladder match at WrestleMania, you don't have to have a ladder match at WrestleMania. You can have a solid one-on-one match, which is going to be far more memorable. And if you put some heat and some storyline on it, it'll be far better and get a better crowd reaction. And then all of these guys are huge. Like, Drew McIntyre is a big dude. Sheamus is a big dude. Karrion Kross is a big guy. Who's going to jump off shit? Kofi? He's going to be the jump off shit guy. That's it. No. Gunther's a big no. This is stupid. Hopefully, we thin this herd. They do something, a battle royal or something like that to get these guys to shave down to a number one contender. Because if they make it everybody in a ladder match or 6-pack challenge or something like that, you're doing Gunther a disservice. You just put him over big at the Royal Rumble where he fought pretty much everybody who came in. That was great. Now you should be trying to showcase him on the biggest stage possible and not shoving him in a 6-man ladder match. That sounds like something TNA would do. I know they've done it at WrestleMania before, but this is why the marks want it. Because it's something AEW or Impact would do. This is not a WWE style thing. We're just going to throw a bunch of guys in a ladder match for WrestleMania cause reasons. Now, to be quite honest, sometimes the Intercontinental Champion don't even make WrestleMania. Which is, I guess he's improving in that regard. Now, I do like the Drew McIntyre and Sheamus storyline. You know, these guys they've gotten back buddies again. They're buddies again. And Drew McIntyre, once more, is letting his personal ambitions ruin the friendship, which is a recurring theme with Drew McIntyre. I talked about this extensively during the pandemic, where we broke down his character pretty much every week, that he has, he's a warrior. Allegiances don't matter that much as his goals do. He has a goal. He wants to fight the best. He wants to be the Intercontinental Champion. The friendship with Sheamus don't matter that much. Now, it does make him come across as being kind of heelish, even though the fans were booing Sheamus in this situation for being, jealous and, kind of upset. But this is kind of like, what was that? What's that saying? Are you going to climb the tree or bark at it or something like that? Are you going to bark at the tree or climb it? What they used to say about dudes who steal, you got a crush on this girl and you tell your friend and he goes over and talks to her and he takes her out, gets her phone number and everything. And you feel betrayed, like, you knew I liked her. And he's like, well, shit, you ain't do nothing. You ain't go talk to her. That's the same kind of thing here. Like, Drew McIntyre was kind of like, well, you didn't do anything. You tried and you lost. But furthermore, you wasn't making any strides towards actually, getting Gunther out here. So I lit up the spot. I mean, there it is. So I did like that part, and I think that could have been interesting because they did do the work of building up Drew and Sheamus as a tag team. So at least they did the work on that regard. Then they just dumped all these shrimp tails in it. Man, come on, man. Get this shit out of here, bro. Get it out of here. No, I don't want this. I didn't order this. I don't want it. Very frustrated about that. Very frustrated about that. Very frustrated about that. Also frustrated about this Ronda Rousey thing. Not because of Ronda Rousey. Look, everybody is so mad at Ronda. They hate Ronda. There was a tweet recently. I think I just saw it maybe a few seconds ago. You know, is it time to say that Ronda Rousey's WWE career is a failure? Like, what the hell are you talking about? She came in like a house of fire. For starters, she came in too strong. She was unbeatable. Then everybody said she was boring because she was beating everybody. Nobody was saying she was having bad matches. They said she was beating everybody and that was boring. So then she had a bunch of good matches with Sasha and Becky and Bayley and Charlotte. And she had a bunch of matches like the Riot Squad. Nobody really cares about them. She did some good stuff with Alexa Bliss when she first got there. And then she went off, got pregnant, came back, and did not give a fuck. That second part of her career was the anti-Shawn Michaels part of her career. But to say that she was a flop is nonsense. She came in and basically is the reason why you have women main eventing shows now, depending on how you feel about that. If you're a person that is okay with women main eventing, you got to give Ronda Rousey her credit because it wouldn't have happened without her. If you're against women main eventing, of course, Ronda Rousey is patient zero because she was such a big star in the UFC. She's such a well-known name. And because she's a licensing and merchandise bomb, not bomb as in negative, but bomb as in explosive, then she is the reason why you have women main events. You probably hate that. And no matter how you want to slice it, it hasn't been a failure. You haven't enjoyed it because I don't think she's given a shit since she came back, especially since she's just handed everything, and it just keeps happening that way, where she's put in positions where she's girl Brock Lesnar. It's like Brock had years and years and years of, throwing around Undertaker and Hulk Hogan and all this kind of stuff, that he could come in and do stuff like that the way he was doing it. Ronda Rousey really just kind of like, oh yeah, we're just going to have Ronda beat everybody. And we're going to have her beat everybody as easily as possible. She's going to win the Royal Rumble as easily as possible. And it's just kind of like, wow, that sucks. That's no fun. And then people stop having fun with the character, and she's not really a good promo. She stopped really putting in effort. There's a lot of stuff to say, but to say that it was a flop is nonsense. Nonsense. She's probably still bringing in money for the company, even in the position that she's in. But furthermore, now Ronda Rousey is talking about she wants to be a tag team champion. Now, I know that y'all think that Dave Meltzer was the one who put this out there, but no, it was actually Ronda Rousey herself. She said it on a Twitch stream many weeks ago. I talked about it on this channel. She wanted to be a tag team champion. She said she was done doing singles. This was after she lost the title, as a matter of fact. She said if she was going to be done with singles for a while, she wanted to win the tag team belts. So then on Twitter, she starts tweeting about the tag team championship. And now there's a report, quote unquote, that Ronda Rousey requested, quote unquote, that, her and Shayna Baszler get the tag team titles or get a tag team title run. And it's been booked for the summer or whatever. And she was supposed to be a part of something completely different for WrestleMania. It was probably going to be a tag team title match, okay? And it still might end up being that. So she wanted to do this already. It's not a report. It's just something that she said on a Twitch stream after, people bitched at her about, how terrible she was as champion and all that kind of stuff. She was like, look, maybe I'll just be done with singles for a while. Been there, done that. I want to do something different. And of course, Shayna is the only natural partner for her. So that works. So it's not a report. There's literally video of Ronda Rousey weeks ago saying this. All right. So there was supposed to be a tag team match that was going to make me have to go wash dishes or something like that. It's supposed to be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Tegan Nox and Natalya. I hated that. I hate that idea. Didn't like that at all. Complained about it last week. And so did so many other people, especially after Ronda Rousey called Tegan Nox Skittles because of the color of her hair. So they do a backstage brawl this week in which Tegan Nox got the best of Ronda Rousey and injured her arm. So because of this, Ronda Rousey couldn't wrestle. So instead we got Shayna Baszler versus Tegan Nox. Now the weirdest thing about this, very weird stuff, is that both Tegan Nox and Shayna Baszler came out to their tag team partners entrance. So Tegan Nox, for some odd reason, came out to Natalya's theme. And I thought we were about to have Shayna Baszler versus Natalya. And I legitimately was like, I would rather go out in the middle of this snowstorm and just be out in it than watch that match again. I would rather just be out wandering the world like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, out in that snowstorm right outside my window in the city of Detroit. I would rather do that than watch Natalya right now. I was not in the mood for the boob. All right? I was not in the mood for the boob. All right? Wasn't interested. They switched it on me, but doubled down. They said, okay, so we won't give you Natalya. No. We know you don't like Natalya. We're gonna slide it in a little easier. We're gonna sweet talk you a little bit with this Tegan Nox. And I was like, wait a minute, I ain't sweet talking. I ain't flirting. This is just as bad. You know, all you did was offer up a lube. This sucks. This match was totally, basically a squash, which means it was worthless and not worth doing. Shayna Baszler wins by submission. And Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey basically kick the shit out of Natalya and Tegan Nox because they can. I don't care about this. Don't care about this at all. Not a fan of this at all. At all. It's the worst part of the show. Jesus. So bad. Bobby Lashley, though. He made a surprise appearance on this show, and his appearance was simple. He came out and says that Bray Wyatt told him to run 2 weeks ago. He said, you don't run from anybody. And said that Wyatt is playing dumb kid games instead of coming to see him face to face. So he decided he was going to come to see Bray Wyatt face to face. So he called Bray Wyatt out. Bray Wyatt's music starts to play. Then Uncle Howdy attacks Bobby Lashley from behind. Throws a couple of effectless strikes, kind of gets the upper hand a little bit. It looks like a different person this time, this Uncle Howdy. He looks like a different person. Bobby Lashley makes a comeback, and he's about to spear Uncle Howdy. And the lights go out. When the lights come back on, Uncle Howdy is gone. All right. So, now, this whole thing with Bray Wyatt. A lot of people have been not feeling Bray Wyatt. They're not feeling him. We know that already. He's voted one of the worst gimmicks. We already know that. They're not feeling him. But there's now reports floating around that Brock Lesnar turned down several ideas. We have talked about this for Raw. Of course, Brock has some level of creative control. But now there's talk that Brock is quote unquote finishing up. He's going to be leaving soon. No. I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. But the amount of people who are like, Brock is the smartest man in the business. Look at what's happening to Bobby. He's got to deal with this Uncle Howdy stuff. And I'm like, this is only the second interaction between these characters. It needs to get more serious than this. But they kind of blew their lid on the Uncle Howdy thing kind of early, didn't they? We was asking ourselves for a long time, what is Uncle Howdy? Who is it? Are they ever going to reveal who it is? What's going on here? And instead of, revealing it or making a big deal about it, he was the weatherman in a cartoon segment, and now he's trying to fight Bobby Lashley, and he gets beat up. They're really kind of taking the mystique of Uncle Howdy and shredding it. They put it in a shredder. It's like you thought that he would be a challenge for Bray or something like that, but no. I guess his image was shredded when he came out and he was a leprechaun next to Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. I guess he didn't do him any favors way back when. He didn't do him any favors back yonder. So this whole Uncle Howdy thing is coming across like a complete, utter waste of time. And And we're still interested in what Bray Wyatt has against Bobby Lashley. We're still not being told. And I greatly dislike when there's physicality and there's no explanation for it. It's just pointless physicality. We know why Bobby Lashley and Uncle Howdy was getting into it. We do know that because Bray started to mock Bobby Lashley. And then, of course, Uncle Howdy attacked him from behind. But can we at least get in the ballpark of what Bray's problem with Bobby Lashley is? Is it because, he's got a problem with the Muscle Man gang? That, these big muscular guys, they all get all these opportunities or whatever? I don't know. I'm not sure what this feud is about. And I'm not the only one. There's just so many people who are kind of like, what is going on and why? We see what's going on. We can recognize that, but we would like to know what his problem with Bobby Lashley is. Especially since these two characters have never interacted before. What could possibly be the problem? But I guess we have to continue to wait, which sucks. I'm going to hold out the torch because I really like Bobby Lashley. I'm going to hold out hope that Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt muster up something that is remotely positive out of this whole situation. Bray Wyatt is under a microscope. Everything he does is getting criticized to the hilt. If he decides to wear, striped socks all of a sudden, people are going to be like, either A, they're going to start becoming obsessed with the striped socks and trying to see what they mean in terms of Uncle Howdy and who else has ever worn striped socks on a wrestling show. Or they're going to be, oh my God, this goofball in the striped socks. What is he doing? He's ruining the business. There's no happy middleman when it comes to Bray Wyatt. Either you extremely like him or you extremely don't like him. I somehow managed to fall in the middle. So where I have more like for him than I, than dislike, but I sometimes not a big fan of a lot of the magic and a lot of the silliness that comes with it. Like this Uncle Howdy thing had potential, but it's been months of no real development. And now we're moving on to his second feud since returning, and we still are kind of left in the dark of what's going on here. So, cheers to Bobby Lashley for being the smart guy, or being the guy who says, screw it, I want to be on the card. You're not shoving me in a battle royal. You're not dumping me in a nothing ladder match. You're not going to have me do the hosting duties. I want to have a match at WrestleMania, damn it. I want that payday. Give me that money. I can respect that. All right. Well, I guess one final note. I'll just dump it in here because I don't know where else it fits. But Goldberg says he's owed a retirement match, and he wants to have a retirement match. And it's interesting because he says that he thinks he might want to have it in Israel. And I'm not sure if WWE is going to Israel anytime soon. I'm not sure if they are. But it seems like a fitting place to end his career, him being the most famous Jewish wrestler probably of all time. Is he the most famous Jewish wrestler of all time? I think he might be. It might work out for him if they ever go to Israel and if that show is going to be televised. But I do think that he probably should have one final match. I'm not against people having big retirement matches and having a big send-off. I'm not against that. Triple H probably won't do it. Vince probably would have. But Triple H is going to be like, no, we got to have room for Tegan Knox on the show. And she's got the shiniest wizard, And we also got to get Johnny Gargano on the show. He's phenomenal talent. Get out of here. Half retarded self. There was something else I wanted to talk about. What was it? Yes, the Hall of Fame. We are 4 weeks away from WrestleMania, and we still have not announced a single person, not one slithering soul for the Hall of Fame. What are they doing? Why are they not announcing Hall of Famers? What is the big deal here? Clearly, they probably not selling tickets to a Hall of Fame show because they would have announced them by now, and they would have announced the venue and everything by now. But I haven't heard anything about a venue for the Hall of Fame, and I haven't heard anything about actual Hall of Famers. So are you telling me that one of Triple H's creative changes is he's going to abandon the Hall of Fame? You know, I know this probably far too soon to mention and to talk about this, and I come across as being like a conspiracy theorist, like, oh, what do you mean there's not going to be a Hall of Fame? I'm not reporting that it's not going to be a Hall of Fame. I'm saying that, you know, you should have announced your Hall of Famers by now, especially if you're going to have some kind of ceremony, especially if that ceremony is going to be televised, you know, especially if you want to sell tickets to a venue. You should have announced all of this stuff by now. What's the wait? I get that the entire WrestleMania card is not even built yet, and you still have a lot of time left. And maybe you want to announce maybe a bunch of Hall of Famers at once. Maybe you want to announce the entire class at one time, but you haven't announced, there hasn't even been a whisper of a Hall of Famer this year. Not even a whisper. I think there might have been 2 years ago where Sabu was like, fuck it, I'm going to tell everybody, Rob Van Dam's in the Hall of Fame. I don't care. What are they going to do? And I'm just kind of like, wow, that was kind of anticlimactic. Thanks, Sabu, asshole. But they didn't slide it to Ariel Helwani or Sports Illustrated or nothing yet. So what is going on here? I'm becoming very increasingly anxious about this Hall of Fame thing. And I've been talking about it since the Royal Rumble. They have announced no Hall of Famers. That fucking sucks. You can't tell me there's nobody worth putting in the Hall of Fame. That's a lie. There's tons of people that should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, Triple H, you know, what is he doing? What is he doing? Somebody let me know what he's doing. Got to fix this. All right. Finally, time to sign off. Do the YouTube things, guys. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.